So, while we talk about the topic of Ramayanam, Mahabharatam, both are itihasas. Now, I am not telling you the story also in detail, just a few pointers you can take. So, itihasam, like you see, the literature, or you can see our culture or knowledge, whatever is there, is divided into various parts, starting from the Vedas, Vedangas, Itihasam, Puranam, and then you have Vedanta, things like that, Upanishads, and so on. So, Upanishads are nothing but Vedasyantaha, Vedantaha. So, out of that, Ramayanam and Mahabharatam, they fall a part of Itihasam. Itihasa, that's how it comes in, wherein it is very, very wrong to call both these epics that are there as mythological stories or myths that is there. If you look at the literal translation, it is something which is imaginary, right? Mythology, it's not mythology, it is something, it is itihasam. What is itihasam? History, something which has happened. That's the reason it is called itihasa, meaning this or thus it has happened. And so we have two itihasams in all, or epics, Ramayanam, Mahabharatam. Out of Ramayanam and Mahabharatam also, Ramayanam is given Prathama Pramanam. Even today also amongst us, if you ask, it's not to show that one is great and the other is slow or something like that, but even today also, if you see amongst us, if you have to choose between Ramayanam and Mahabharatam, many of us, it becomes very easy for us to choose Ramayanam, or most of us are familiar with Ramayanam and so on. The reason being, it is a lesser complicated, or you can say a lesser, you can say a smaller epic as compared to Mahabharatam, not many characters also, the story also is a bit soothing and so on. Whereas in the Mahabharatam, if you see, many characters are there. No doubt Mahabharatam also has got Pancharatnani, things like that. The Yuddham which takes place, you have the Gita, Vishnu Sahasranama, so many other gems which are out of it. So like this, there are many things there in the Mahabharatam also. But amongst the two epics, you have Ramayanam, which is there, written by Valmiki. Now both these both these itihasas that are there, they are called as Arsha Mahakavyam. What is Arsha Mahakavyam? That's the reason, if you see, towards the end of all the Ramayana, Dashakam, Sundarakandam, especially those who are familiar, it will come Ityarshe, Iti Arshe. Arsham is something which is written or which is composed by rishis. That's the reason it is called Arsha Mahakavyam. Now no doubt you have the Puranas also, which were compiled by Vyasacharya. But the first step is itihasam. So wherever there is a conflict, at times you see, in some Puranas also, for a particular story, there will be a different reference. So at that time, it will be at times different thought also. So what should we consider then? Prathama Pramanam Itihasam. What is mentioned in the itihasas, that you have to consider first. Now when we say Ramayanam also, there are different Ramayanas that are written, right? One is Valmiki Ramayanam, Kamba Ramayanam, Tulsi Ramayanam, so many other Ramayanas that are there. So little, the storyline differs here and there, not a major difference. So during such conflicts, what needs to be done? Prathama Pramanam, Valmiki Ramayanam. That doesn't mean that other Ramayanas are false also, but because it's considered as an itihasam and an Arsha Mahakavyam, it has to be given first preference. Now, next when we go, Valmiki Ramayanam, if you see, in all it is divided into 7 Kaandas also. Or in some references, especially when we do the Valmiki Ramayana Paranam also, it is divided into 6 Kaandas. We have to conclude it with the Pattabhisheka Sarga. But now what was the reason why the 7th Kanda was not included? That is Uttarakandam, the story of Lava Kusha, Sita Devi going back to the forest also. Popularly, if you see, let it be Indian movies or in our culture, especially a drama or any story that is written, it is believed that it should always have a happy ending also. That's the reason Rama becomes a king of Ayodhya, and that's how it ends there. This was one reason that was told. Moreover, it is said that the Uttarakandam, the style of writing Uttarakandam, differs from the other 6 Kandas. That's the reason maybe it is not written originally by Valmiki also. But if you actually go through the text of Uttarakandam and compare it with other 6 Kandas, there is no major difference at all. In fact, there is no difference at all. No doubt we are not that great scholars to compare, but personally also, if you go through both the books, the way of writing, style, this and that, everything remains the same. Only thing is, yes, no doubt there is a difference in the time period in which it is written. The first 6 Kandas starting from Balakandam till Yuddha Kandam that is there is written after Rama returns from Ayodhya. Valmiki writes that. And then wherein Valmiki was not a part of the story. Whatever has happened, he just jotted it down like report writing also he has written. And the Uttarakandam, wherein Valmiki himself becomes the main character, it takes some time for him to write that because he had to mention the story of Sita Devi coming to his ashrama, Lava Kusha and so on. So there might be some time difference that is there. Whereas in the first 6 Kandas, where I say Valmiki is not a part of Ramayanam, in the first 6 Kandas he is not one of the main characters. There is one reference which comes in the, if I am not wrong, I think in the Aranya Kandam, wherein during Vanavasam time also, Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, they visit the ashrama of Valmiki, but at that time they had not met Valmiki, they end up meeting Bharadwaja. So we know the famous meeting of Bharadwaja, Rama, Sita, Lakshmana. So at that time Valmiki actually does not meet them. So there is the only reference where Valmiki meets Rama, Lakshmana and Sita, but towards the end in Uttarakandam, no doubt he meets Sita. Now, when we talk about all the other Kandas starting from Balakandam, the childhood story of Rama. Ayodhya Kandam, things that happened in Ayodhya. Aranya Kandam, things that happened in the forest. Kishkinda Kandam, things happened in Kishkinda. Sundara Kandam, the story of Hanuman crossing over the ocean, returning back. Yuddha Kandam, the war which concludes with Rama returning back to Ayodhya, Pattabhisheka Sargam. Uttara Kandam, Rama ruling over, Sita going to the forest, Lava Kusha and so on. Again the end of Rama Avataram. So this is how the 7 Kandas are divided. Now if you see, each of these Kandas that are there are self-explanatory. Balakandam, name itself says the childhood story of Rama, Bala. Ayodhya Kandam, time spent in Ayodhya. Aranya Kandam, Aranyam, time spent in the forest. Kishkinda Kandam, things that happened in Kishkinda Nagari. Sundara Kandam is not self-explanatory. Next is, Sundaram is something which is beautiful. Yuddha Kandam, things that happened during the battlefield. Uttara Kandam, the later part of the story. Then what is the speciality of Sundara Kandam? Now there are many reasons why Sundara Kandam majorly talks about, it's actually a 24 hours business. Hanuman crosses over the ocean, returns back. This is the only story which takes place in Sundara Kandam, but still it is divided in 68 sargas or so. Those who are familiar, you will know the story in detail. Why Sundaram? A shloka comes in wherein a commentator, Tilakacharya, he writes a shloka on Sundarakandam. Sundare Sundari Sita, Sundare Sundari Katha, Sundare Sundari Lanka, Sundare Kimna Sundaram. In fact, in Sundarakandam it seems that everything was beautiful. Sundare Sundari Sita, in Sundarakandam Sita is described beautifully. Sundare Sundari Katha, the story is beautiful. Sundare Sundari Lanka, the description of Lanka is fantastic. Sundare Kim Na Sundaram, in Sundarakandam, what is not beautiful? Therefore, the Kandam itself gets the name Sundaram. Further, it is believed that in another reference also, Hanuman originally was named as Sundara. That's the reason he gets the name as Sundarakandam. So, like this, there are different references why Sundarakandam gets his name. So, this is how Ramayanam is divided also in various Kandas written by Valmiki. Maybe tomorrow also we will look at few instances from Hanuman's life and then we'll stop this series. Yeah. Okay.